kind of comes out of a conversation I had with the teacher just before March break, a high school teacher who had asked me about some mapping. What could she do with kids and maps and Google Earth and all this kinds of things? Um, and I had a few ideas about what we could do, but I really wasn't all that familiar with some stuff. So I went and dug a little bit and found a couple of nuggets for you. So today I want to have a look at some of the web-based mapping tools that teachers and students can use out there in your classrooms, particularly for students for projects and to show what they're learning and what they've learned. Geospatial kinds of relationships between things now with the global economy and the globalization. 1 in every 3 kids that are in our kindergarten classes are going to live and work outside of North America as adults. So these are the kinds of things that our kids really need to be able to do. It's going to be a critical part of our literacy skills. Are going to be able to deal with maps and data and to place those things. So wanted to have a quick look today at just a couple of quick tools that you can use with your students. One of the tools that I use a fair amount, and here's an example of it. This was a project that I did a few years ago. It was an elementary school writing project called 1001 Flat World Tales, and this was done in 2009, 2010. And you can see here that we actually made a map of all of the schools that were involved. So the schools could actually go in, and they knew who their school partners were, and so they could zoom right in and they could tell that this, if I click on it, shows me that this is the International School of Bangkok, and that they were a participant in workshops A and B. This was probably Yokohama International or Tokyo International School in Tokyo, so they were in workshop D. So this was a really simple example of how we could use these, just a simple Google map with place markers on it, for students to be able to find out a little bit more about the participants and the other schools that they were working with. If you zoom right in on these, this one here is Keswick Ridge School, who I happened to be working with at the time, and they were involved in the project. In fact, I sent some students out on this, and they actually set this map up for me. I had done a fair amount of work on it, but students can actually zoom in, and you'll note here that this actually takes them directly. If you zoom in close enough, it will actually show you the actual school. This is actually Keswick Ridge School, and so we were very careful and make sure that the maps were very accurate so that the students could come in. This is really actually a very simple thing to do. I had used another program, but you can do it right inside of Google Maps. So you'll notice that when you go to Google, and if you just head off to a regular Google exercise, you'll notice that when you get to Google, your sign in is right up here. So if you come up here, you'll notice that my name is here, and so this tells me that because I'm signed in up here, I am actually signed in to the Google platform. That means that all of my tools are being brought together. And when I come across, you'll see that there's a Google Maps link, so we're going to go to Google Maps. Now, Google Maps is very much like all of the other Google products. It's a great collaborative tool in that students can work together on a map that they're creating simply by sharing that content. So if I go to My Places, one of the things you're going to see here is that this will tell me all of the maps that I have done. Now I can easily and quickly create a map. So there's a Create a Map button here if I click on this. But earlier today I actually created a map called Capitals of Atlantic Canada. Now this could be used for anything, and I'll show you some examples in a little while. But for instance, in grade 8 social studies right now, it's Atlantic Canada and the global community. So what students could be doing is working on geo-locating and describing particular industries in Atlantic Canada, or all of the major fishing ports. Depending on what they're doing and what their interests are, they could do all kinds of things. Maybe all of the sawmills. And maybe what they could do is look at all of the mills, do some research, and categorize them by mills that when they started, what kinds of pulp and paper they were doing, which ones are shut down, which ones are still currently operating. So there's all kinds of different representing that students could be doing here. I'm just going to go to this one called Capitals of Atlantic Canada. I'm going to open it up. And so there's a few things that we're going to see here. First of all, I started here by putting on one place marker, and I called it the Legislative Assembly of New Brunswick. Now you'll notice here that it's put on if I'm working on this map. And maybe it's downtown Fredericton, maybe it's my neighborhood and all the schools in Fredericton, or whatever it is that I happen to be working on. But students can create these maps to represent the knowledge and the information that they want to represent. So I've got downtown Fredericton up here. So the first thing I can do is I can share it. Now you'll notice here that there is Get Directions, there's My Places, Print, and then there's another button here that says Link. But if I want to, I can share this, or I can embed this back into another wiki space, just like I can with most other things. But if I'm going to take this map, and let's say I wanted to share it, all I'm going to do is hit Edit, and I can either share it with only the people, selected people who have the map's URL, or I can share it publicly, and I can make these privacy settings change, so I can make it public or change it with anything. And so that's the one thing I can do. But let's say I wanted to put, for just interest's sake, I'm going to put a place marker on top of Leo Hayes High School. Now I realize Leo Hayes High School isn't part of the Capitals of Atlantic Canada. But all I need to do is to come up here, and there is Add a Place Mark. So I'm going to click on Add a Place Mark, and I am going to bring it out here, and there is Leo Hayes High School right there. So I'm going to click on it, and that added that place mark right there. It automatically gives me a title, Leo Hayes High, and a description. Founded in 2005, I'm not sure. Put in some other information about it, whatever it is I wanted to do, and I click OK. Now what happens is that when students come to this map, all they need to do to find this information, I'm going to hit save. Sorry, I hit save. So now it's saved. When students come to this map, they can click on this, and it's going to open up some information for them. I can also do it in rich text. So if I wanted, I could put Leo Hayes High School, and I could make this a hyperlink to Leo Hayes High inside the rich text link. So you can do all kinds of things, and I'll show you an example right down here where the Legislative Assembly, if I click on here, you notice that I've actually put a hyperlink inside of here. Now I'm actually still in edit mode, so I'm going to hit save, I'm going to hit done, so there. So now when I hit on this Legislative Assembly one, there's actually a hyperlink here. So that hyperlink could take me to the website for the Legislative Assembly, or the website for Leo Hayes, or whatever it happens to be. So if students were doing, for instance, trying to look at mapping all the pulp and paper mills in New Brunswick as part of their grade 8 social studies curriculum, and looking at that within the global community, they could map all those out and have information and links on each one of those. As I said before, you can share it. So if I come here, I can use this link, this short URL, to take it to, so I can share it with whoever, and it will come to this map. Or if I take this embed code, I can actually copy and paste this back into a wiki space or a blog or a school website or anywhere else I wanted to save it, and embed this map right back into my project. So it doesn't necessarily mean that I have to be limited to sharing this map just on this page. I can embed it back into other pages as well. So Google Maps are fairly interesting. The other neat thing about Google Maps is that once you have all this data mapped here on Google Maps, you'll notice right underneath here that I can rate the map, I can write a comment, but you'll notice here there's another link that says KML right over here underneath Capitals of Atlantic Canada, which I just highlighted. Right underneath the word Canada, you're going to notice that there's a KML link. I've just highlighted it. Now what it does, it actually allows me to download a KML file of this map. Now KML files are interesting because KML files are the map, is the software basis for Google Earth, which is also another Google product. And if I open that Google or that KML file that I just downloaded, I'm trying to click on it, but it's fighting me. It may have actually opened, I'm not sure. So there's the KML file. I'm going to try to open that. There we go. Now what it's going to do, you'll notice over here that it's going to open the file that I just created inside of Google Earth. Let's see, loading my places, enabling the overlays, it's doing all that stuff. So now it's going to take me, the students is all very interesting as well. So now you're going to see here that when I'm actually in Google Earth now as opposed to Google Maps, and you're going to see that the two place markers I had, Legislative Assembly and Leo Hayes High School, that I had made in Google Maps now opens up in Google Earth. Really, really cool feature. Also has Google Earth, as you know, has a lot of pictures, so I can open it up and just clicked on this Panoramio photo of giant tiger in Devon. So there's all kinds of photographs and different things that are built in here. And we're not going to get too far into Google Earth today because it does some really cool stuff as well. But I do want to move on and have a quick look at a couple of other really cool tools. National Geographic Education is in beta, and it has a mapping feature as well. Very kind of similar to Google Earth, not necessarily quite as flexible, but also has some other cool tools. A couple of cool things that Google Maps doesn't do. So if I come to the mapping thing here, and I click back here, create your own GeoTours. So I'm going to click on the GeoTours product here, and it's going to open up something that kind of looks like GeoMaps, and it's called MapMaker Interactive. And if I click on this, and it's going to open up a mapping tool that's going to allow me to make similar kinds of maps as Google Maps, but it's got some other features. It's just loading up a configuration here. I should have had this loaded before. Sorry about that. So it's loading up some data, and it will allow me to build maps in much the same way, but has a lot more. I'm just going to close up Google Earth because it's probably what's causing it to be a little slow. So let's try closing Google Earth. Let's also try closing Google Microsoft Word. So here we go. So what this allows me to do is to, it has physical systems, water, land, climate, so I can use any of these underlays or overlays, if you will. So I can look at sea surface temperatures, there's physical systems. But if I close in here, one of the neat things that I can do is, in much the same way as I built a map, and this is just slow because I'm trying to work too many things at one time, I can zoom in, and it's going to allow me to use different baselines, different base maps. And for instance, there we are. Now we're back to very good. Close enough. You'll notice here underneath the National Geographic, it's going to allow me to choose a National Geographic map, a topo map, satellite imagery, streets, terrain, ocean maps, gray maps, one-page maps. So there's all kinds of different things. But the neat thing it allows me to do is to put in different types of markers. So you'll notice here that on this little tab right here, it actually allows me to bring out different markers. So I can bring out, for instance, an airport marker. And if I bring it out and drag it, I think the airport's somewhere right around there. And so it allows me to do that. Then I can come out here and put on a link in there. Or I can erase all that stuff. Now, the neat thing that I also can do, there's drawing tools and themes. So I'm going to come here to the drawing tool. And what it allows me to do is put a label on here. So if I type in here, Fredericton International Airport, and I'm going to make the font size just a little smaller. International. International. And now when I come over here, it's going to click and it's actually going to put on Fredericton International wherever I want that to go. I can also put links in there, so if I wanted to put a link in to Fredericton International, I could do that. The other thing that I can do is I can draw on it, I can navigate, add measurement tools, but this will allow me to actually build really cool kinds of things. So if I put a link in here, it will add a link back to Fredericton International Airport, all kinds of other cool things. Now the neat thing about this is that once I've created my map, I can come down here and hit download this map. I can save it as a PNG, which is sort of an image file, think JPEG if you will, so it's just a picture, or I can save it as an XML file, which will then open it reusing the loading map feature. So it will reopen it back into this file if you save it as an XML file, which is just a web page type file. So there's all kinds of cool things. Now the neat thing about National Geographic Education and the mapping is that they actually have some cool tools that kids can build their own maps, but it also gives teachers and students some interesting examples of what other students have done. And you can print maps here as well, one-page maps, but it will also allow you to find out how to make these maps. It's got some stuff about mapping, about GIS work, so educators, students, it'll show them how to do it, and it actually has some really good stuff about preparing for 21st century decisions, geoeducation, what is geoliteracy, really got some cool stuff. So National Geographic has cool mapping. Google Maps is a really great tool. The last thing I want to show you, actually a couple of really quick things, is this one. It's called World Mapper. Those of you who are high school, middle school, social studies teachers, history teachers, there are some really cool maps in here. Now, what these are they're almost like more like infographics, which is what I'm going to have a look at next week, by the way. But if I come here, I can look at all of these really cool maps that can show me the different types of maps, different types of graphics that are really going to allow people to sort of see what's going on. These aren't your traditional maps. I'm just clicking on military spending in 1990. You'll notice here that these maps are based on size. The United States is absolutely huge here, while all the other countries, look at Africa. Africa's just tiny. So is South America. The United States is huge. A lot of Europe is a little bigger. If I go to the next map, it's going to show me armed exports, and you can look at military spending in 2002 and then military spending in 1990 and see how things change. So it's got some maps that are going to walk you through things. You can also download these as PDFs. So if you want this map as a PDF poster, you can actually grab it. And these are great discussion starters for students inside of your classrooms. A couple other really quick things for those of you who are interested in mapping both Esri and ArcGIS, which are the two mapping two big mapping platforms in the world have free maps that you can download, or free mapping software that you can download, and base maps that you can download data onto your school computers and actually have kids work with real-time data and real software that cartographers would use all over the world. So they've got sort of some base framework of doing this kind of thing. So to me, for kids to be able to see themselves spatially in the world, to be able to understand the relationship between places and all these types of things, is going to be huge. Geoliteracy is going to be a really a critical skill for students, being able to place things on maps and to understand the relationship between places and people within our world is going to be important. So as much as you can bring this kinds of things into your classroom and allow students to create their own content and share it with the world, there's all kinds of different examples inside both the National Geographic maps and the capitals, or the Google Earth and Google Maps for Educators platforms. I'll put links to both of those, and they'll be great for you to use with you and your kids. So that's a really quick, and I mean a really quick look at just a couple of the tools that you can use in terms of using and building and having students use maps and develop maps inside of your classrooms for learning. If you have any questions, feel free to drop me a line or talk to your local technology mentor in your districts. And we will see you all again next week. We're going to look at infographics next week, if all goes well. Thanks for joining us here at Tech 20 Tuesday. We'll see you all again next week.